This episode of the Made in Spain podcast is powered by GoCo Energy, clean natural energy for life at the speed of Go.
Welcome to Made in Spain. I am your co-host, Nalini Sharma, along with
Laura Senior Garcia. We're very excited to be here today.
We're going to introduce you to a very special guest. Today's episode is buying property in Spain and what foreign buyers don't see. So let's just set the stage for a minute. There's a little bit of context to this conversation, Laura. Many of our listeners, especially in the US, UK, Canada, they are dreaming about moving to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot that comes with that. They're scrolling late at night, they're saving photos, and they're imagining, my life out in the sunshine. But what we've noticed is that most of the information out there is either it's just overly simple or people are being sold maybe a dream that may not necessarily exist. And we have a special guest today.
Mm-hmm. So very soon we're going to be introducing our guest here, but we really wanted to kind of discuss, why are we doing this episode? We know that buying a home, we've both been through this experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's just a transaction. It's very emotional. It hits your identity, who you are as a person, your lifestyle. And today is not about selling the Spanish dream. It's about grounding our audience and our listeners in reality. And we obviously, as we always say, are not experts, but
we have an expert
we
today.
have an expert today that we wanted to bring in. And kind of, I would say, to frame it, Spain is incredible, but it does work very differently.
Yes.
And understanding that difference is everything if you're thinking about buying a property here.
Okay, so we're introducing you to Darcy Maxim. Darcy, welcome to the show. Welcome to Made in Spain. Thank you for being here today. First, tell us who you are, who you represent, your background, and what gives you this window into the property market in the Costa Blanca region.
Got it. Well, first thing, thank you very much for having me here. I'll present myself first. So
Okay.
My name's Darcy Maxim. I was actually born in Belgium, but raised in Spain.
Okay.
English mom. That's why the English is
Yeah.
going around there. My dad's been over 25 years in real estate. So I actually started with him. I was brought up. Went in when I was a little kid, going to all of the buildings. And then at 20 years old, I actually got into the business with him. I was there for 2 years, but he was always selling things roughly maximum to 800,000. And that used to be the market, from 300 to 800,000. And I said, Dad, I want to sell like the big luxury things. I want to sell the higher things. He's like, no, that's not
Right.
possible. They only do that in the US. They only do that in big markets. I said, no, but I want to do it. I was watching $1 Million Listing. And at the end, I had to stop working with him because I had bigger dreams.
Right.
So I stopped and we transitioned to opening a new company. And then I
Awesome.
went to Altea with my business partner, Bruno, and we opened a company up, Costa Blanca Investments. Long story started with like a rental business, and then we were going to manage it, but then we couldn't manage the rentals because you need a big company to manage that if you want to do it properly. And from there on, we just started selling. We sold our first house. Like the first sale of the company was like a 1.4 million euro house here in Costa Blanca, actually.
Okay. Wow.
And from there, we just started going.
That was your first sale?
That was the first sale.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just for our listeners, can you put some context into the neighborhoods that you're talking about?
Okay.
I mean, we know where Altea is,
Yeah.
but people in maybe Canada or the US don't
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
where Altea is.
So how I try and explain it is, we are the closest town to Ibiza because a lot of people have Ibiza.
Okay.
And I say we are in the middle of Spain, all the way on the right, And we
Yes.
are in the middle of Barcelona and Marbella. People already click when they understand that. So we are right in the middle.
Okay, good.
Now, what is the market that we touch? We
Mhm.
touch all the way, let's say, from Denia to Alicante. That is all of our area. They call
Okay.
it Costa Blanca North. Is
Yeah.
actually where we are managing.
That's
Okay.
a really good way to describe it, closest to Ibiza, because if you do kind of, we're a straight ferry short from Ibiza.
Yeah.
But most people, I don't think, realize that when they look
No.
at this area.
No, we are the closest town to Ibiza. It's insane.
Really?
Denia is the closest, but like we here are literally with a normal boat around 2 hours.
Wow. That's actually, I didn't know that.
No, me neither.
Very close, but it's crazy if you think about it. Everybody's
Yeah.
speaking about Ibiza, and we have Ibiza 2 hours away. You
Yes.
can be at a beach club and
It's
just
true.
having a cocktail there from just your house, and in the morning you're already there.
Yeah.
It's insane if you think about it.
Darcy, tell us about the amount of real estate that you've sold, because that is a
Okay.
really impressive number.
Yeah. So in the company, we've roughly been 3.5 years. Most of my sales have been here because when I was in my dad's company, I'm not counting them sales. We've done over 65 million million of sales, hundreds of sales right now. Our average price right now, we're coming into 1.5 million. So it's raising the standard here in the
Wow.
area. We're realizing that there is a lot of wealthy people coming here, and
Mhm.
this is the place to go to a lot of
Right.
people.
Excellent. Well, that's great to hear. And I think it sets really good context for what kind of property to think about
Yeah.
when it comes to your expertise.
Yeah.
So we are very, very excited to pick your brain a little bit and to give people some insight. Because we do know, because of having traveled a lot and
Mm.
obviously Nalini being from Canada, that things are a little different. So we wanted to ask you, from what you see, what is the most common assumption that foreign buyers are bringing with them that may not be real?
Okay. So you mean like doubts that they have a little
Doubts, or
bit?
just like, let's say this is something that normally happens when I buy in the US or in
Yeah.
another European country, and they think it's going to be the same in
Yeah.
Spain, and then maybe they may be shocked. Like, what are some of the assumptions that
Yeah.
they're
I
coming
think the number one would be inspection. It's
Okay.
not
Oh.
typical that they do inspections in houses here in Spain.
Right.
A few months ago, I hired someone in
Mm.
the company just to do inspections, so that when the clients come, we inspect all the house for them. Everything
Okay.
that is to do with fireplace, lights, electronics, and all of that.
Right.
Because most people are just buying house, and
Yeah.
then the structure is not good, and then
Right.
this is not good, and then the lights are not working, and the air conditioning needs to be changed, or there is humidity, or there is a leakage in the roof. And I think in America they take it more seriously.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everything that has to do with doing a full inspection of the house. There is
Yeah.
actually a word. I think in every sale you inspect a house there.
Yes, I think there's a step,
no?
right?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you how it works. If
Okay.
you buy a house I'm from Toronto,
Okay,
so
okay.
when you buy a house there and you put an offer in, typically the offer, especially in a cool real estate
Yeah.
market, you can put conditions on the offer. So the condition will be upon financing and home inspection.
Okay.
So that always comes with that. But if it's a really hot market, you waive the inspection and you waive the
Really?
financing and the offer is firm. But that's always something. And it sometimes works as a cooling off period because you can always turn around and say, oh, my financing wasn't in place. And then they give you a number of days. So it might be 5 days
Yeah.
for
yeah.
the financing and the home inspection.
Okay. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
They don't do that here.
Yeah.
Maximum what they do, they bring their friend Paco with them, and,
Yeah.
and they're like, "So
Fingers
come and check the
crossed.
house." And then he knocks on the window, looks there, knocks on the wall, and like it's okay, you know. So,
Different. Now, so walk us through the home buying
Okay.
experience here for the
Yep.
foreign buyer.
Okay, so first step that I recommend is getting in contact with a brokerage. You
Okay.
know, it doesn't have to be mine, of course, but there is a lot of brokerage here in the area, and find someone who you can have like a close relationship with.
Okay.
After that, you search, you give all of the details to what they're searching for. Normally, the brokerage or the real estate agent should ask you all the questions. Do you have a family? What locations would you like? Do you want more sun? Do you mind if there's shade? Do you mind stairs? Do you need a lift? All of these questions. From there, the real estate agent should scan all of the market and then tell you which location to be in. I always recommend, especially people that are foreigners come in, that they rent out an Airbnb or a hotel or a house in different type of location.
Oh, okay.
good.
Yeah, we
I-
were talking about
Yeah,
that.
I always
actually.
recommend that if they're doing big purchases, I always recommend go to Denia, get something there and stay there for a few nights. Then go to Aldea or go to Javier and then go
Right.
to Benidorm. And then there they already get the feeling because they come to the streets and they're like, okay, this is not my location.
Right.
And I think we all three know that it's completely different.
Yes.
Benidorm has nothing to do with Javier. Javier has nothing to do with Aldea. They are
Exactly.
just completely different locations.
And they're
Right.
very close to each other,
Yes.
but
Very.
they're very, very different. The
Yeah.
vibe, the food, the energy, where the tourism is from.
Yeah.
Because, you can go to one place and most of the people there are from the UK. You go to another and most people are from Germany.
Yeah.
So you really do have to, and it's not, anything wrong with it, but you
No,
have
it's
to
just
just feel
what-
like, where do you feel most comfortable?
Exactly.
Yeah. After we can go to nationalities of towns, I can tell you each town what nationality.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
They
Okay,
have.
so once your agent, now the one thing here is I think maybe different than let's say a North American market. Do buyers sign an agreement with the brokerage?
Okay. It's not typical to do
Okay.
it. We've actually started to do it because what happens, let's say a foreigner comes, looks online and contacts all different type of agencies.
Right.
So what happens is that their name starts getting registered with everybody. So
Right.
let's say, for example, my clients, they normally stay with us because we go and pick them up from the airport. We give like the best service as possible.
Okay.
And I say, okay, we want to view this house. And they say, no, they're already in the database. and we're not allowed to view it because just their name and nationality has been registered.
Oh,
The system here is not like in the US. Like,
Right.
it's still very old school how everything is.
Like
Right.
how they own the clients. Because
Yeah.
normally if that would happen in the US, you would just share the listing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Here they would say, no, he actually came in through, let's say, Idealista and fill in my name. Even if they're not in contact,
Right.
he's in my database. So then they would contact the client and say, you need to view this house with me and that. And I would have to
Oh.
tell the client, hey, you need to share with the agency that you want to work with us, that you want us to take care of it. And
Oh,
that, so.
usually if you when you work with the difference with North American market is that you typically sign with a brokerage.
Correct.
So if you're
As a
looking
buyer.
for even a
Yep.
buyer or seller, so you would sign with a brokerage and you have them for, let's say, 90 days.
Yeah.
So because they're working on commission.
Hmm.
So you can't just go to this brokerage, that brokerage, and
Yeah.
you're with that agent. So you have to make sure you work well with that agent.
I agree. And if we would do that here, there would be a lot more order. There
Right.
wouldn't be
Yes.
so much chaos. But Spain is still like that. You
Yeah.
go to the ayuntamiento, it's the government place for like documents.
Yeah.
In other countries, it's all digital.
Yeah.
Here, the guy with the motorbike, if you need an escritura, needs to go to the warehouse,
Yeah,
take
to
the
get
document
it.
out and bring it to you. So it takes
Yeah.
literally like 2 or 3 months to get a document. Meanwhile,
Okay.
in other countries, you just click, what do you need? The document of the house. Click, here you go, send it. Here in Spain, you need to call Paco. He
Yeah.
goes on his bike. He goes. It's crazy if
Paco
you
is
think
very
about it.
busy.
He's a very busy guy. He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Paco.
Electrician, building, everywhere.
Okay, so you're now shown a property. You
Correct.
like the property,
Okay.
and you make an offer.
Yeah.
What does that look like for the foreign buyer?
Correct. So the real estate agent should know the negotiation that should be happening.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of houses in Spain that are just overpriced.
Right.
And it just happens with sellers. That's why I recommend going with a real estate agent so that he can tell you, look, this is not the price. We need to get it to this price is the market price.
Right.
So from there, you just bring out an offer. Sometimes it's just verbally. Like sometimes you can do it per written, but 90% of the time it's just like, hey,
A verbal.
I do an offer of 700,000.
Really?
Yeah. It's insane. It's
Is that
insane.
binding?
Mm,
Binding as in meaning
Legally.
that it's legal.
there is no law.
No.
There is no law,
Okay,
literally.
so
It just you do an offer. And the thing is, at the end of the day, we're just here to try and get to an agreement, is to make sure that the seller comes down, and they
Right.
need pushing, because every single house that is on the market, they're all overpriced. There is not one that I know that is not on a higher price.
Right.
So that's a really big watch point to our audience and our listeners is you have to come in ready to negotiate.
Correct.
Right.
Even if it's a hot market right
Mhm.
now, and even if
Yeah.
there is more demand than offer right now, you have to be ready to negotiate, because I know that is different. Like, say for example, a listing may come out in the US and it is like only in the market for like a couple of days.
Right.
It's insane.
Like Darcy described here, it's not like that. It takes a while. You have to check things, etc. And in that process, even if they have an offer, because it's not a binding offer, you may be able to go a little bit higher. So
Correct.
come in ready to negotiate. Or if you want to pay overprice, be aware that you are paying
I agree.
overprice.
Right. So once the seller agrees on the offer, what's the next step?
From there, then we come to the office.
Okay.
And we do a contrato de reserva or
Mhm.
contrato de arras. So a reservation contract is like 5,000 euros.
Okay.
It's not legal. I wouldn't say like it's bad.
Right.
But the arras, if you pay it, you
Right.
can't step out.
Okay.
So it means, let's say a foreigner comes, buys a house, 500,000, needs to put 10% down. Okay?
Right.
Puts 50,000 euros down. If the buyer steps out, he loses the 50,000. Okay? If the seller steps out, he needs to give the 50,000
Right.
euros back
Plus.
plus another 50,000 euros.
Oh, okay. That's a good protection then.
It is. That's
And it happens.
Yeah.
it happens a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they get a higher over because it's such a negotiated market.
Oh,
But
this
that's why
is crazy.
that's why I always recommend to not do reservation. That's why reservation is not as strong, because some people prefer to lose 5,000 euros, but
Okay.
to lose 50, it
Yeah.
hurts a little bit more. So I
Right.
always say, if you are really interested and you want to go ahead, sign the contrato de arras.
Okay, so that's like the firm step that you're
Correct.
moving forward, and
Yeah.
that the seller now cannot back out of
He
the
can't.
deal. And if they do, they're penalized substantially.
Their offer has to be then double than what they're losing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and very rarely that happens.
Okay.
Very rarely.
So once that's finished, then what for the foreign buyer? You go arrange your financing. I mean, it's different if obviously you're paying cash, but I'm assuming that many buyers need financing.
Yeah. Most of the buyers, if I have to say, they are cash buyers that
Okay.
come here. But lately now, more people, because Spain is giving mortgages to foreigners. So
Right.
we're getting
Which
up to...
it didn't used to be.
They
that
didn't
way.
used to. So we're giving up to a 70% to foreigners. I've
Right.
had sometimes that they got up to an 80%.
Right.
With a 3% interest. That is very good
Yeah.
here in Spain. So from there, what then you would do a negotiation of terms of furniture.
Okay.
So for example, we need to choose, okay, is the table, is the sofa, is everything included?
Right.
Every single operation I've had, there's always problems with the furniture.
Really?
Every single one. Yeah, because they say, the sellers, they say, okay, I'm taking my personal things. All right.
Okay. What is personal?
And then what is personal, and
Yeah.
then what happens that they take the sofa, the bed, and they say, yeah, but the sofa was from my brother and from this and from that. And then the buyer's like,
Wow.
and then there's always a discussion. We've lost deals just because of the furniture.
Which is crazy because if you think about the
Wow.
percentage amount of a sale of that size, but that's where people, I think sometimes they get in their own way.
Yeah. So I always recommend when we agree with the arras, in the arras, the reservation
Everything.
contract,
Define
we
the
do an
furniture.
inventario. So an
Mhm.
inventario is like, I take a picture of all of the furniture that is staying or what is going. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
the inventory.
So I just add all of that in the contract and then we sign what is staying. And that's it. And then we don't have any problems.
Wow. So the real estate agent really has to work for their commission here.
A lot.
Like
Yes.
there's a lot of work. It's,
A lot of work.
I mean, I'm not
And
saying
it's not as, and sometimes also by Spanish buyers, maybe
Yeah.
not so much by foreign buyers, but they're always like debating, the commission amount
Always.
and all that kind of stuff. Even if it's, tremendously hard work and, you're not just paying for that transaction, you're paying for the experience, you're paying for the professionalism and all that, but it's still debated.
as a buyer, are you paying commission?
No.
It's
It's
just the
only the
seller.
seller.
It's a seller.
There,
Okay.
there are some buyers
Right.
that now there are companies that are coming out that they're paying like a fee of like 500 euros or 1,000 euros
Right.
to work exclusively with them. And I think it's a very good idea.
Okay.
Like I might bring this out in the future because
Right.
imagine we have hundreds of clients coming in every single month.
Right.
But imagine if from the 100, only 5 of them pay.
Yeah.
You're going to prioritize them 5 because they're the only ones that have shown you interest.
Right.
Like the times that I've done viewings in houses of like 5 million, 4 million, and then after the buyer just disappears.
Yeah.
Right.
And just
They
doesn't
won't
come
even
back.
answer.
And you pick them up on the airport, you go and take them out to eat, you pay for them,
Yeah.
because hey, you want to give a nice service, you want to give a good impression, and then they just disappear.
But and I
Right.
will say what you're describing though is way over and above what other brokerages do here. From my own personal experience. I mean, the fact that you're picking them up at the airport and that's not
No.
part
Yeah.
of the deal
Yeah,
here
that's
normally.
amazing.
Okay, so very, very interesting. In terms of the surprise, so sorry, we were going back through the process, the steps.
Okay.
So you just described the steps, and then we're going to the next step, which would be the signing, right?
Correct. So let's do a recap. So you come in,
Mhm.
the agent goes through all of the houses and chooses the best ones for you.
Okay.
Okay. From after, you choose the location.
Right.
After that, you do viewings.
Okay.
Then you do negotiation.
Mhm.
You get to an agreement. You agree with the furniture. And then after that, you set a date of the notary. Okay. So the notary, I don't know if you say this in America, this word.
It is
It
a
doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't exist in
It doesn't
real estate.
exist?
For notaries exist, but not in the real estate process
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
You have a real estate lawyer.
Yeah.
That's
It's-
it.
Here we
That's
don't.
it. And I mean, you don't even have to see. You don't even see the lawyer.
Okay.
You don't have to. There's the
It's
paperwork.
purely a money transaction.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
paperwork just gets signed, and the lawyer or the brokerage will hold the deposit
Yeah.
until the funds are transferred on the day of the
Mm.
sale. So, this is what happens on the day of. So
Okay.
your closing day, or day of possession. The only thing as the buyer you are doing and the seller, you are waiting for the funds to be released electronically
Okay.
to
Give them the
pay the
keys.
house. Sorry, to pay the house,
that's
to
it.
do this, and you just wait for the call. Your agent holds the
That's
key.
pretty easy.
And until your agent says house is yours, funds are transferred, you then drive, you get the key, and the house is yours. Like it's just done with a click on
Yeah,
the computer. That there's no shuffling with
course,
the
of course.
paperwork and filing. And as the seller, you're waiting for the funds,
And that's it.
and that's it. And then they're like, you need to be out of the house.
Yeah.
Like you have 2 hours to get all your stuff out. And sometimes your buyer is sitting on the driveway. And legally, the house is now theirs.
Yeah.
Like you need to get out.
Well, here's different. So here we set the date. We go to the notary,
Yes.
the seller and the buyer. The notary always lasts from an hour
To 4.
sometimes 3, sometimes 4.
Yes.
Because they do the paperwork there in the moment, and I
Yes.
still don't understand why they
No.
do that. They're preparing in the moment, still going over a few
Yes.
things. They make sure that the money they get sent over, you sign with the guy from the notary,
Yeah.
and done. And there you get the keys over, and everything's yours.
Yeah, but
But it's very formal.
It's very formal.
Mm.
And I mean, I can say as a foreigner, when we bought this house, that was my first home buying experience here. But I was on my own. My husband was away when we actually took possession of the house. And I
Okay.
thought, okay, we're going to the notary. And we went in, and I've been to the notary a few times. It's always the same situation. It's a room with a long kind of table. The notary sits at the top of the table, they're in charge. And then they tell you where you have to sit. You sit here, you sit here, you sit here.
It's like you
And
said,
then-
it's very formal.
Yeah.
It is.
So you sit down, and then you have maybe a translator next to you. And then
And usually someone comes in and announces,
Yes.
now the notary is
Yeah,
going to
like-
come. And it's
always,
like,
always, always.
And then
always.
they come
the
in,
king.
and
You know?
then they say, Buenos dias, and then they're reading, and they read from the top, and they start reading the whole
Yeah.
contract, and
Because
then
they do have legal responsibility.
yeah,
That's
but
why.
the whole time you're just sitting there, and they're like, "Do you understand?" I'm like, I don't. I'm like, please just make this work. But
Can I leave now?
it's hours, and then they get to a part where the check is handed over to the seller,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then they leave, and then you're
Yeah.
stuck now with the notary with the rest of the contract, and you just sit there for the next 45 minutes
Yeah.
while they read.
Welcome to
It's
Spain.
very-
Yes.
Look, we have a lot of things, but we're still building up the system. It's what I
Yeah.
say, it takes time. And I do believe that in the next coming 10 years, everything's going to change in
Yeah.
terms of
It's
systems, in
changing.
terms of
It's
process,
changing.
and it is changing.
Yeah, it's just
getting better.
it's very different as a foreign buyer. I mean, it's just a process that you have to go through,
Yeah.
and it's worth it in the end because you're buying this house that you want to live this lifestyle. But it's vastly different than a lot of other markets.
Yeah.
So from an investment perspective, now that we've described the process, what is the market like now here? I mean, you're in it.
Yeah.
So what is the market like? Because I understand, first of all, yes, prices definitely seem to be going up.
Yeah. 100%.
And especially in the luxury market.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to find something that really meets the needs of, high demand buyers. So I'm curious,
I
like
agree, I agree.
what's your perception of the
So-
way the market is right now?
My point of view, before it was a lot of flipping happening. So a lot
Yeah.
of people were buying cheap and then they were they were refurbishing, like painting, cleaning it up. A lot of Dutch people were doing this.
Right.
And they were selling for a very good price. And they were making like 200,000-300,000 euros in like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
In a moment, and like just flipping it. Now 2026, I believe we're coming into a healthy market
Okay.
because since 2008, since we've had the crash, we've just been rising like crazy.
Mhm.
And just every year, people have just been earning more and more. I've sold properties for €500,000 that now I'm selling for €1,000,000, and this is literally in 3 years.
Right.
Wow.
So everything is just multiplying. There needs to come a moment where it needs to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I believe 2026, it's not gonna lower. It's not gonna stay straight. It's just gonna go slowly up, and it's gonna be more of a healthy market. So all of the
Okay.
overpriced houses, most surely they're all gonna come off the market. The negotiation is gonna be a lot more easier. It won't be so dramatic like before.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, going back to your question, in terms of investment, here we have between a 7 and a 10% that I think is very good for
Mhm.
Spain. And there are locations that are better for investments than others.
Where would you say is in your opinion, right now, or at least in 2026, a great investment
Okay.
area?
First, I would say it depends budget. So tell
Right.
me budget-wise.
Okay.
Which budget would
So
you be in?
let's say I have 500,000 euros to
Okay.
invest. Let's just start there, and we'll do 500,000 and 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for 500,000, I think I would focus on all two things. I would buy new build.
Mhm.
For example, something in Benidorm or the new apartment buildings that
Yes.
they're building, because they literally, when they're finished, you've already earned nearly from 10 to 20% more. Like
Okay.
literally when it finishes.
Wow. Okay.
Or then I would buy, for example, a second-hand house.
So sorry,
Right.
just to qualify when you say new build, because some people may not have the experience. A lot of times here, properties are sold while they are being constructed,
Correct.
and it may be 2 years out.
100%.
So you are buying the dream
Yeah.
at the end, but it will eventually
Yeah.
happen. It's
off plan.
Yeah.
It's off plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the world. So like
Yeah.
my words are like I say them every day, and I
Yeah.
expect everybody to
No
know
problem.
them. So yeah, new build is off plan. So literally, you just get shown a plan, and
Right.
like this is going to be built here in the next coming
Right.
3 years, 4
Yeah.
years sometimes. And most of the time, when you buy, when it finishes, you already earn from a 10 to 20%. So the margins are very good there,
Okay.
especially in this area.
Okay.
Plus they're
Um,
easy to rent as well.
Very
right?
easy to rent. Rental is insane here, like
Right.
insane. The prices are going up like crazy.
Yeah.
like
And what
crazy.
about the government restrictions on the property rental market? Do investors have to worry about that?
It's getting harder each time.
Yeah.
I have to say. So that's things that.
But if you do things right, that's the thing. You
Yeah.
have to worry if you're not going to do things right. But
Right.
if
Yeah.
you do things right and you're going through a company and you're doing,
Correct.
then
There you need to get your right accountant and get everything set up in place.
Yes.
But
Okay.
going back to your question, like best investment, I
Yeah.
would say a new build like apartment or
Mhm.
like a bungalow or an independent villa,
Right.
like Bolop or Benidorm. They are
Mhm.
very good investments there. Or I would buy like a secondhand house
Mm.
with sea views and some bedrooms. And refurbish it and do like an Ibiza style
Oh,
refurbishment and put some like nice furniture in, paint it, clean it up, put some new air conditioning, and that's it.
Okay.
That's already going to bring the price up insanely.
Okay.
excellent. Awesome.
All right.
Great. So any last bits of advice that you want to give our listeners if they're thinking about buying here?
I've always got advice. Okay.
Good.
Number one advice, I would say interview a few different type of brokerage.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
like sit down with a few people and go with whoever you feel the most connected with.
Yeah,
You know, they
okay.
don't have to always be the best. You just need someone that's going to be there for you, that understands the market, and that has also some negotiation skills. Because in
Yeah.
this market, you need to negotiate. I've negotiated houses that were on the market for $1 million, and I've sold for 800,000.
Right. Okay.
So they were like crazy negotiation skills that you need to push them down.
Right.
And if you just come in and say, okay, well, I bring down 20,000 because
Yeah.
in a lot of markets it's like that.
Yeah.
But here it's not. Here
Okay.
sometimes it's dramatically. Don't
right.
get me wrong. There are some times that our goal as a real estate agent to set it at the right price.
Yes.
When we
course.
set it at the right price, the house, immediately in weeks we're getting viewings.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Okay.
But most of the times, them type of houses are or inheritance or divorces
Right.
or someone's died or something.
Yeah.
Something's happened in the family and they need to sell, you know, and
Right.
the kids want the money and that's when the houses get set at the right price.
Right. I see. Okay.
Because most of the time people say here, I take my time. If I get the price, I get the price. And if not, then I'm wait because I'm happy. I got the sun, I got the beach, and I got good food. What
Right.
else I need?
Yeah.
Or I'm renting it for a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing.
All
Yeah.
right, Darcy, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we go to our slice of life, can you just give us where people can find you, your information?
Socials,
Okay,
website.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So they can search me on Instagram, Darcy Maxim,
Okay.
DARCY,
Mhm.
MAXIM.
Good, you passed.
And then Costa Blanca Investments is the company. There
Awesome.
they can go and see it. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. If they go on the YouTube, they'll see loads of videos from house tours, houses from like 600,000 all the way to 12 million. So
Awesome.
they can check all of it. And that's all houses all on the Costa Blanca North.
All right.
Thank you very much for joining
Thank
us
you.
today.
Thank you, guys.
On to our slice of life.
Yay.
So, before we dive into our slice of life, quick shout out to our amazing partner, GoCo Energy. You have to try this.
That's right, Laura. GoCo is energy done right, made with coconut water, natural caffeine, and real fruit flavors. No crash, no jitters, just clean, feel-good energy that actually tastes amazing.
It's perfect, right? Whether you're working, traveling, or just keeping your creative spark alive, basically, it keeps you in that go mode.
I agree. I'm not necessarily a fan of all energy drinks, but this is one that I truly enjoy. My favorite flavor so far is pineapple, and you can order it straight from gocoenergy.com. That's GOKO energy.com. Shipped right to your door.
So hydrating, refreshing, and honestly, it just makes everything flow better.
Cheers, slice of life.
Cheers.
Today,
Slice of
Laura, we're
life.
having mimosas, which typically is made with orange juice and a little bit of sparkling wine, champagne.
Champagne.
This is juice from the mandarins in my garden.
I actually was going to. So it's Mandarin, right?
It's
not
Mandarin.
I like it.
Oh,
I like it. It's got a bit of a kind of a twist. You know, it's really nice.
The twist would have been seeing me at 9 o'clock in my pajamas with the tree fighting with the mandarins.
So these are no plastic mandarins.
No,
here.
they're real.
They're actually real from Nalini's tree. So for our slice of life, we really hope you enjoyed Darcy. I think he's very talented.
Super interesting.
Yeah, super interesting to find out just how different things are here. So on theme for Slice of Life, we wanted to bring you a perspective on, you know, horror stories that we have experienced buying, renting, etc. in this market. So Nalini, as someone who has purchased in other countries and come here, do you want to share kind of a horror story of your own with our listeners and something to watch out for?
I mean, I would say this is more of a cautionary tale than anything else, because it's like what Darcy was saying. It's very easy to come here and fall in love with the whole, you know, the scenery, the Mediterranean, the sunshine, and everything seems, especially as a foreigner, and I lived in a cold country for most of my life, the fact that lemons grow on trees here, just in somebody's garden, is amazing to me, because our fruit and vegetables come from the grocery store. They don't grow on trees where I come from. So it's very easy to get impressed by all these things. So my cautionary tale is that you have to be very careful with the person that you trust. It might seem really great and they're super friendly, but you might end up being burned in the end. We rented a place online, which again, that's not normal. Normal people don't do that, but that is what we did.
Well, now they do with like Airbnb and all that stuff.
I mean,
before, no.
So we rented long term. After we lived in Mallorca for a couple of years, we decided that I said, okay, we're going to move back, but I can't live in Mallorca. It's too party scene for me. I need a normal life. So we chose this area, rented a house online. Everything was great. We knew we would stay there a year or less. Turns out that when it came time to give back the key, etc., the landlord tried to stick us with this huge bill for the utilities, which
were not a part of the agreement.
Not only that, I didn't understand the bill. I mean, it was almost 900 euros in gas. Like, I don't even understand that. And it got to the point where he said if we didn't pay it, he would shut the heating off, which he did.
Wow.
So he shut the heat off in January.
Wow.
And the worst
Isn't
part—
that illegal?
I think this is the other thing. You need to know what your rights are.
Yeah.
So we found out from our lawyer that we were in full legal rights to break our lease early, which we didn't know. He threatened us with legal action because he said we were breaking our lease early. And our lawyer's like, no, the law says that you are allowed to give X number of weeks notice and there's no penalty. So we got out of that. And then the day it came to give back the key, he said he wanted all the furniture in the house, which was really nice furniture.
Right.
And we had furnished the whole place. It came empty. And the day to give the key back, he came to do an inspection with his man. I called him the money man because he always wore like this bag here, very close to his chest. And he said, we don't want the furniture. You need to move it.
What?
And I was by myself with the 2 kids. Yeah. He said,
the day that you were moving out?
The day we're moving. He said, we don't want the furniture.
Terrible.
And he said, if you keep it here and you're not out by like the next 2 days, now there's going to be a penalty to you. They're going to keep charging. They would keep charging us to stay there.
That's tremendous. Incredible.
I did actually. I mean, I was so determined. I gave away every single thing in that house in 8 hours.
Wow.
To all the neighbors. Everything went down to the hangers I got rid of. But I trusted them. They were very nice. They were very welcoming. And
you got to do your homework. And even when you
unraveled.
do your homework,
Yeah.
you have to know your rights.
Yeah.
So in that same line, another rental horror story. A few years ago, I was actually going to go to Ibiza, and this was before Airbnb, etc. And we rented a high-end property all online, and it turned out that the property didn't exist.
Oh,
And it took actually showing up there to realize that there is no this house on this street. And, 8,000 euros later, it was a terrible experience. So what I would say is make sure that when you're renting, especially short-term rentals, go through the big platforms. And we're not sponsored by Airbnb, but go through Airbnb, go through one of those, Booking, whatever it is. Make sure that the ones that you use do protect you. Because if not, you could find yourself in a sticky situation. I chose to go to the police, and another lesson learned was the police told me, believe it or not, a lot of people that have that happen to them, that you have had happen to you,
they don't report
do
it.
not report it because
Right.
they're embarrassed that, they've been conned,
Yeah.
or scammed or whatever you call it. So just something to think about is make sure you protect yourself and you go through the right platforms.
And you lost the money.
Oh yeah. I don't know if he's still in jail. Eventually it came to trial and blah, blah, blah. He had done this to so many people. It was very messed up.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of ruined summer, which is the most important thing for me. But okay, so
Lesson learned.
So let's go to our sentence of the day.
Oh my,
Nalini.
I thought we were done. Okay.
No,
I
you
actually,
still gotta do
no,
this.
I'm being honest. I blocked it out.
Okay,
Okay, I'm
so,
ready.
Ready?
Yeah.
Comprar
hmm
a ciegas.
Something with shopping, buying.
Comprar
Mhm.
a ciegas.
Like,
Ciegas.
Make sure what you're buying is what you see.
So it translates to buying blindly.
Okay, I was close. Sorry.
Almost.
Yeah.
But today we really wanted to bring that one in because sometimes, you want to make sure you know what you're buying and don't go in blind. So I have to say, and not because we're promoting brokerages or anything like that, it is a good idea to go in with someone that knows what they're doing.
Of course.
So you don't buy blindly or you don't rent blindly. So that's a little bit of our cautionary tale. We absolutely thank you for being on this journey with us. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, all the things. We love our audience and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.
The Made in Spain podcast is fueled by GoCo Energy, refreshingly real energy that keeps the good vibes going.